Australia, the sixth largest country on Earth. An ancient, rugged, and unforgiving land with abundant animal life, both beautiful and deadly. Found within its awe-inspiring landscapes and natural beauty exists a deep history of unexplained mysteries for anyone with the courage to investigate them. Tonight, we join Ben on a journey across this vast island continent in search of answers to events that have reshaped the lives of so many that have been exposed to Unexplained Phenomena Australia. With your host, Ben Hurl.
G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unexplained Phenomena Australia. Here we are again this week, and I'm very excited because I have joining me on the show tonight is Andrew Radziewicz, who, thank you, Andrew. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, Ben? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's great. It's really good to have you on the show. And how we got connected with each other is that we both actually appear in a series that has been made recently about UFO activity here in Australia. And the good thing about the show is it actually takes us right across nearly like a lot of the states in Australia, and it has research, it has new footage, it has a whole host of different stories around the UFO phenomenon. And your story is very intriguing as well. So perhaps we could just start with you giving a little bit of an introduction on who you are, where you've come from, and how you see UFOs as it relates to, well, Australia, America, humanity.
Cool. Okay, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. So as you could tell by my accent, I am not from Melbourne, Australia. I am originally from New York. So I grew up in Long Island, New York, in a little town called Floral Park. And then I became a New York City firefighter. Just before I was a firefighter, I was in the U.S. Coast Guard. So I had a massive sighting while I was in the U.S. Coast Guard, the military. For people that are listening that don't know, there's 5 branches of the military. Coast Guard is the 5th one. And I had a massive sighting in the late 90s. And I'll just explain that briefly, but it's very important. At the time, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. At the time, I thought, well, I'm just, in the right place at the right time or the wrong place at the wrong time. I thought it was just an isolated thing, but this is really the beginning of what was to come after that, which is just basically nonstop contact over the years. I'll just give you a little story on that. If people look my name up, when they Google me, Andrew Radziewicz, you will see an article that'll come up from the New York Post talking about a New York City firefighter that communicates with aliens, UFOs, spirits. That's me. There's only one firefighter from New York that had that article and had this experience and went public about it. So in the late 90s, I was the lone night watchman on my boat. I was on the Coast Guard cutter Durable down in South Florida. And we would go on patrols down in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. So just south of Florida, so the southernmost east part of America, if someone was to look at a map, we would go down from Florida into the Mexico area. And I was the lone night watchman. So my job from midnight till 4 a.m, you would rotate with one other person and you would take shifts. Like every 15 minutes, someone would either drive the boat, and you'd rotate it 15 minutes and you'd go all the way to the top of the boat and you would do a perimeter scan with regular old school, old fashioned binoculars. And then we had standard military night vision goggles, not a camera, just night vision goggles. This is like late 90s, early 2000s, way back. So I don't know what generation at the time night goggles we were using. It was the first time I had ever used anything like this, was in the military. So I was the night watchman. I'm on top of the boat. I'm doing my scan with regular binoculars. Then if you see anything in the sky, you would look with regular binoculars, then the night vision, and then you would call down and let the officer on duty know, I see something in the sky. Now, it was protocol then, and it probably still is protocol now, that if you see anything in the sky or in the sea, if it was a boat or a plane, whether it's a commercial boat or just someone's private boat, if they were passing a U.S. Coast Guard vessel in the front or the back, you would have to notify us on radio.
Yep.
We would take that as a threat. If they don't notify us, it could be, you know, a foreign adversary. It could be a drug interdiction, it could be drug runners, or it could be people trying to sneak into America. So we'd get a lot of migrants coming in from Mexico and all sorts of places. They'd come in from a foreign country and try to get to the land in Miami or some part of Florida. So the Coast Guard, we were kind of like the middle people there to try to catch them. So I'm on top of the boat. I'm looking with my regular binoculars. I see a illuminated object. I'm looking straight ahead, and just to the left, I look in the sky and I see a round silverish type, white type object in the sky. Now I'm thinking it's probably just a satellite. I could see it in the sky. I'm looking with the night vision. It looks very illuminated. Now with night vision, at that time, it wasn't color night vision. So it just looked like something illuminated. I couldn't tell if there were other lights on this, but it just looked like it was big silver or whitish. So I see one object and then I see another, and they're not far apart. They look like they were kind of staggered and going in a formation together. So I call down to the bridge. That's where the officer on duty is. That's where the radar man is. There's probably about 10 people in that command center. I call down and I'm thinking in my head, okay, they're going to have something on their radar, right? This is going to be a satellite or something. Maybe it's far away. Maybe it's a plane. I just can't see it that well. So I call down, and next thing I know, the officer about a minute later comes up, and I tell him what I see. I see two objects off to the left there, and he could see them too. We're looking with our naked eye. We're looking with the regular and the night vision. And next thing I know, there's another officer coming up. There's another guy coming up. Now there's like a dozen of us up there, and people are looking with their naked eye through the night vision with the binoculars. And now, probably about 7-8 minutes into this, someone goes down and wakes up the captain. So this is after midnight. We're out at sea in the middle of nowhere. So I could just tell you this: if you're waking up the captain of a U.S. Coast Guard boat on a boat of 72 crew, it's important.
It better be good.
Yeah, it better not be a satellite, okay? So I'm asking, I said to the guys up there, I said, what's going on, bro? Do we have anything in the sky? And they're like, there's nothing on the radar. Our radar systems at that time should have detected a satellite or something. So it's not detecting anything. So next thing I know, there's about 20 of us up there, right? And there's only 72 of us on the boat. So people must have gone and woken other people up to say, hey, come check this out. This is rare. Now, I had not seen anything like this prior to this event. I'm just looking in the sky like this, right? Two objects are going, one's kind of in front of the other, they're kind of staggered, and they're moving, and all of a sudden, I'm looking, and I could see them now, just with my regular eyes. I'm looking through the binoculars, I could see them, and they come together, and when the two objects came together, they merged as one, or one was in front of the other one was just behind it. It appeared like they merged, and when that happened, next thing I know, they just vanished. No trail, no exhaust, no shooting off, it was just, they came together, gone.
Yep.
That's it, just like that. And like I said, that's the first time sitting, watching and seeing this with my eyes and 20 other witnesses. We looked at each other like, what the heck? And I was blown away. Like, literally no sound, no nothing. No fume, nothing was detected at all on the radar, as far as I know. I asked after, they said, we got nothing. I said, well, what was that? and we weren't debriefed. I wasn't brought in an office and told I was going to go to jail. Nothing crazy like that, those fantasy stories out there. We were
Yeah.
just like, all right, whatever. I don't know. I guess this is nothing new to them. But I was a young guy. I was like 19, 20 at the time. So
Yeah.
I'm like asking around, what is that? And guys are like, yeah, you're going to see weird things when you go out to sea. This is nothing new, but you did the right thing. You reported it. You called down below. No one brought me in. I didn't have to fill out an incident report. No men in black came on the ship. Nothing like that. It literally was just, at the time, like I said, I'm just like, oh, I saw something and that's that. And the next morning we wake up and we have a roll call at 0900 and everyone gets together. I'm all pumped up thinking, oh, I want to talk about this and find out info about this. And no one said anything about it. I wasn't told not to say anything. It's just no one brought anything up.
That was it.
I was like, all right, yeah. And at the time I was like, I guess that's it. It's not a big deal. So why make a big deal out of it? So I just left it alone.
But
that was it from 99. I just didn't say anything after that. Nothing at all.
And for you, did that start an awakening in you in some way? Like, or was it just
so
you had this really extraordinary experience?
I did, at that moment in 99, 2000, I wasn't online. I wasn't using, I don't even know if Facebook was around. I wasn't using any of that stuff. I didn't take photos of this. I didn't take videos. I thought it was very interesting, but I didn't know what to make of this. So I didn't have a support network or a CE5 group either. So it was just me. And I remember I heard of a guy in, maybe around 2001, Dr. Stephen Greer, that had ex-military guys that had seen craft and been involved possibly with the cover-up or the truth of this. So I heard of him. I found him in like 2011, right? So years later. And I decided to fly out to the desert in California to meet him. And I wanted to meet other military people that had seen things because I wanted answers. What is this? And he claimed that you could proactively have these things appear. So I was like, see what that's all about. So I wasn't doing C5 in between then. I wasn't, did the big awakening start? 9/11 happened, right? In September of 2001. And I went through a spiritual awakening with my family. My dad was a firefighter. My dad was down at ground zero when that happened. He, thank God, lived, but he was there. So a lot of things got distorted for me personally after 9/11 with, like what's going on? Why is this happening? I don't want to say it was a UFO type awakening, but like a real soul awakening. That's when I say, things started to really change for me personally. So some sort of awakening, but in a lot of respects. It wasn't just UFOs, but a lot of things in me and my family's life personally with the amount of death and a lot of sightings and spiritual things that happened after that. Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Definitely.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's really good. And when you went out to the desert and you met Dr. Greer, and presumably you met some other military guys as well.
Yeah.
And you said you were obviously open-minded enough to try that approach. Did you just explain that process for us? How you went through Dr. Stephen Greer and what he had to contribute to your development?
So, this is all connected. So in the 90s, I used to watch that show Unsolved Mysteries, which is amazing. So I was always open to this. And this ties into this. This is why I'm telling you this. So I remember watching Unsolved Mysteries in like 93 with my grandmother, and she was always opening into this. And I remember there was a spirit ghost show on, and I said, Graham, when you go to heaven one day, many, many years from now, can you promise me that you'll come back and give me a sign? And she said, yeah, I will. So fast forward, right? I see Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm a New York City firefighter in 2006. That's when I got on the fire department. And in 2011, I had the means financially to go to one of his expeditions. Now, it was a couple $1,000s, but he was going to train you. So I never did this prior. I never had anyone teach me. I wasn't studying yoga and meditation. It wasn't like that. I was just working as a firefighter, playing ice hockey, working as an electrician on my days off. And my partner at the time was a police officer. So we flew out to the desert in Cali because I wanted to meet other military people to kind of connect, and maybe we could, find some answers. So we fly out to the desert, and literally I was skeptical. I'm like, maybe there's something more to this, right? Maybe the guys,
Mm.
there's a trick or there's something more, but I'm open. So I'll figure out what his trick is. I'm going to figure him out, right? So I go out there, and literally the first night, nothing happens. We're outside. I just didn't see anything. So I was like, oh, it must be me. I'm not meditating. I'm not sitting in, the yoga position every day. Like I said, I'm a firefighter. I'm not
Yes.
doing the spiritual stuff, man. That's out, bro. Like,
Yeah.
not in my world. You can't talk about that in the firehouse. Well, at least then you could. I kind of
Yeah.
changed that a little bit. So I'm out in the desert, right? We're hanging the first night, nothing happens. We go back to the hotel room at night. And I remember Greer saying, if you go back to the room and you see something, just open your mind, open your heart, and welcome it. Well, I go to sleep. I wake up at about 3 a.m, and I see a green light flashing on the wall, like a camera flash. And I wake up, I wake my partner. I'm like, you see that? She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to go to the wall and see what that is. Maybe I'm thinking it's a smoke detector or a light or something from outside, but we're staying in the desert in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing outside. There's no lights, nothing.
No
So
lights.
I get up, I go to the wall, I move my hand, and it's gone. I'm like, it must be me, right? I go back down, I lay down, bang, and the thing reappears. Then it moves a few feet. So I don't want to get a camera because I don't want to lose it. You know what I mean? I don't want to flash and scare this, whatever it is. I don't know what it is at this moment. So she and I decided to just meditate. Like Greer said, welcome it, just open up. We did. We kept cool. And from 3-ish in the morning until the sun rose at like whatever 7, the thing stayed. Flashed every, I don't know, few minutes, but it was nothing else in the room. We eliminated all of that stuff. And the next day I told Greer, we got together in the morning, we sat together as like 20 to 30 of us there. And he said, did anyone have an experience in their room last night? And I'm like, yeah, like I think. And he's like, well, what did you think it was? I go, this is what it felt like. And this is very important for people. This is what I've learned over the years. Your feelings are very big when doing CE5, right? Even psychic work. You might feel something and the person next to you might see it. You don't see it, but you might feel, wow, I'm getting real sweaty, or I feel like they're around. And an experience it would know what that means. I feel like it's going to come. I feel like something's that, you know what I mean, Ben, right?
Yeah,
like
it's a knowing. It's a, it sleeps through your whole being, actually, more than just a thought.
Right. And it's like, I describe it, it's like a kid on Christmas morning. You get up and Santa's down there, there's gifts, and you're like, oh, that's the feeling I get when they're around now. So at the time, I didn't know. I was sorting this out. I explained this to Greer. I said, I felt like there was a big craft outside, and they sent a probe into the room to kind of check us out. And now that it did, it's going to be fine. Like, we'll have more contact. And he goes, exactly. And I was like, all right, that's a good guess, or maybe it is. Well, that moment on, in the end of October in 2011 till today, I have been able to have contact pretty much at will through meditation mostly. From that moment on, in the day, literally, I started to see golden balls of light moving around in the room. I'd never had this happen prior, not like this. And then at night, we went outside to the desert again, and it was on. It was just all night. These green orbs, purple orbs around us, low to the ground, out in the sky, people taking pictures, videos, all of that. I didn't want to take any photos at the time. Some people have photos out there with me in those photos, but I wasn't taking them because I'm like, I'm a fireman. My partner's a cop. I don't even want anyone to know what we're doing. Let's keep this quiet, man. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to seem crazy. So like, I get what that's like for people now that are just coming into this, man. It was not easy to come out and talk about this stuff. Even then, when I first got into it, it was weird, man. I didn't want anyone to think I was nuts or crazy or losing it or all airy fairy or love and light. I don't care now, but at the time, man, I took that. I treaded very lightly with that. And when I got back from Greer's expedition, I got together with a group in upstate New York, a CE5 group. And from then, 2011 till now, I still talk to them. I still do distant C5 contact with them, and I have had thousands of contact experiences, which we'll get into. But that's how it began.
Yeah, so that's how it began, and then the floodgates opened, basically from that point onwards.
Yeah. So I come back, I get together with a group. I'm in upstate New York, and the group I'm with is run by a PhD. She is brilliant. She's a psychologist, PhD, wonderful. The people up there, it's a wide variety of people, from doctors to sanitation workers to firefighters to cops to nurses. I mean, genetic scientists, engineers, bro, some brilliant people that will never go public. That remind me, Andrew, don't share a picture from our contact. I don't want anyone to know. That's cool. I respect that. This is not for everyone. The path I've chosen to come public and talk about this is not for everyone. But me and my grandmother in '93, we made it a pact that if she came through, I promised that I would share this with everyone, and I am. So getting into this, right? I'm doing CE5, and my grandmother passes away. And a couple weeks after she dies, this is right around the time I met Greer, like right around there, my grandmother dies, and I go out to a restaurant with my mom about 3 weeks after my grandmother passed, and we're eating dinner, and a guy comes up to us with long hair and earrings, and he goes, "Someone in your family just died. They had cancer on the outside of their face." I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Who? You or your mom? Who was born on Easter Sunday?" My mom was in 1954. Born on Easter Sunday, April Fool's, April 1st. So I was like, "Who is this guy? What's going on?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm a psychic. I'm doing a reading here at this restaurant." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I wait a year because I'm skeptical, like maybe the guy's just talking smack, whatever. I wait a year. I go back to the guy. I record it, and I still have the recording on my iPhone. And at the end of the recording, he goes, "You have the gift." And I go, What are you talking about, bro? What gift?" He goes, "You have the gifts of being a psychic medium." I was like, he probably tells everyone this, right? Yeah, right. So I get together with him. I said, "What do I do?" He goes, "Come here on the weekend. I could help you interpret the messages." But right there, you're seeing them already. You're open. I'm like, "Well, I've meditated. I've seen UFOs, but I don't know about spirits, man. Whatever. So I go the next weekend. I sit together in a room with about 20 to 30 people and meditate for 5 minutes. And he goes, "Okay, sit with this person, knee to knee, face to face. Tell them what you're seeing." And from that moment on, I sat knee to knee, kind of like this, in person. I felt a little tingle, like a little electrical charge in the back of my neck, tiny. And all of a sudden, I started to see a black and white movie, clip after clip after clip, like an old Charlie Chaplin film of these images, one after another, lightning fast coming out. And I tell the person what I'm seeing. I'm like, "I see a car going down the block backwards. They hit a tree. Someone gets ejected. They lose their left leg." And the person's like, "Yeah, that's my Uncle Vinny." So, all right, they're lying to me, right? I'm skeptical. Firefighter, right? They're full of crap. They're leading me on. They want me to spend money and believe whatever, all this nonsense. Well, after doing that, a few hundred times, I finally said, "Okay, maybe this guy is onto something, and this is bigger than that." And I've been doing that since I met him in 2011, 2010-ish, 2011-ish. And that evolved into itself where now full time, that's all I'm doing is I am a full-time psychic medium now, but I was not at first. I did readings I did them on my days off. So when I could work in the firehouse, I do my couple 24s a week. And then my days off, if someone needed a reading, I would go there, no charge, no nothing. I just enjoyed helping people that wanted to be helped. So for 11 and a half years, I read people for nothing. I just love that exchange. It wasn't my job. It was just, I loved doing that. And I said, if somebody could help me, and if I could do that for them for nothing, oh my God, this is perfect. So I had a good job making good money. I did that. And then we'll get into why I'm doing this full time now, but it grew, it evolved, man. It didn't happen in like a year. This took years, bro, for me to say, okay, I'm ready to do this full time and this is my life,
Yeah, it's a giant leap, isn't it, to go from a day-to-day job, which everybody expects you to have, and a great job like a firefighter, to make this type of personal evolution, and then presumably also financial evolution in your life as well, bringing all that together.
Yeah, and when I got here to Australia, right, we'll get into this, but I had to get a job. I had to work, so I got a job as an embalmer. I was working as a mortician for a couple of years. I needed a job on the books to get my residency, couldn't just
Yeah.
open a business. So I couldn't, even if I wanted to be a medium on the books paid, I couldn't do that right away. So I was still doing readings when I could on my days off. Got a job in a funeral home. I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to help people like that. It was a beautiful job. I started embalming, did all that. And then when I got my residency, I opened my own business because I had so many people messaging me after COVID for readings that I go, I think it's time. People have been telling me this for a decade, but I think it's time now that I do this all the time because I know I can help people. I did that. I made the leap and I wrote a book during lockdown. I was bored, right? Like everyone else. I wrote a book. Fortunately, got signed by an incredible literary agency, wrote a book. It was beautiful. And then I was just on that show with you for A&E and Seven Mate. And then at the time now too, we're developing a TV series, like a reality type TV series where I do readings. Like you see that guy on TV, John Edward or Tyler Henry. That's how I read. I'm not them, but I straight read like a psychic medium. I can answer questions about past, present, future. If people go on my website, psychicfirefighter.com, you'll see tons of reviews from all over the world. I absolutely love this. I can't wait to share this with everybody, but it was timing, man. It did not happen instantly. And it's a huge change once you're doing that all the time. But I knew all along I should be doing it. I just wanted to really help people. I love being a fireman. I love being an embalmer. It was a beautiful experience. Yes, the deceased do communicate with us. Like people said, have you ever had contact in a funeral home or the mortuary? Yes, I have. I did work with 2 girls that were psychic or had psychic abilities. So there's no coincidence. This is how this all works. It's all connected. It's all synchronicity. So sometimes they would ask me, hey, are you picking up anything on this person that's in here? And at times, yes, I was. Like the method of how they crossed, when they come in, they get paperwork with them and it has a cause of death. So I wouldn't look at the paperwork. I would say, okay, they are expressing to me they died this way. And the way we validated that while we were preparing the person, we had to open them up. So you have to open them up to prepare them to drain out the old fluid and put in the embalming fluid. And you can take a look at certain parts of the body. So we were able to validate what the soul was showing me because they see images. And then after, they would open the paperwork and go, holy crap, that lines up, or it doesn't. And they're telling me something different and it's off. So I wasn't solving crimes. I'm not Dick Tracy or nothing like that. It was just, oh, I died of an aneurysm. No, you actually died of a blood clot, just above your knee. You had 3 of them. You open the person up. Oh, wow, there's some clotting in there. Like, it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful experience to be around. It really helped me for what I do now with being around grieving people all of the time. Like I said, I have a lot of experience in this, and you don't get that with a lot of mediums out there. People just self-profess they're mediums, which they're not. They're full of it, but that's for people to find out in their journey. I'm not saying come to me, but make sure you go to someone that has been trained or been around people for a long time and has a background with this. Because people out there that have been doing this, or they just started and they claim they're doing this and have no background, they could give you really bad information and you could hurt someone. So you got to be real careful. Like I said, I waited years to do this all the time because I respected it so much. I wanted to be certain, okay, I'm ready to do this. I got a decade under my belt of just doing it for people. I know I eat, sleep, and breathe it. You know what I mean? I really love the work.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah. And you must also see a whole host of interesting what's the correct terminology? Messages or feeds or films that come through at different times. There must be a lot of surprising things as well.
Yeah, it's especially, after COVID, people passing the way they did and people not getting a chance to grieve and say goodbye. The whole psychic world too. Oh my, people are coming in with stories that what didn't happen in the past. It's kind of like another 9/11, like the grieving and this is worse because you have people that are still getting sick, still dying. 9/11 was bad enough, and I went through that as a relative, and as I grew up around guys that died that my dad worked with. That was bad enough, but I've seen enough things to know what that's like, to be around it, to help people from a different perspective. Like I tell them, I'm not dead, but I think I know as close as you can get what it's like to be dead or that process because I've worked with them, I've handled them, I've treated them, and I always do. And anyone that worked with me would know this. I treat every deceased person that came in like they were my grandmother. That's it. You treat them with the same care. I don't care what background, where you're from. I treat you just like that, as if I was going to a fire in your house. I don't care where you're from. I'm going to come in there and save you, even if I lose my life. I put all of it into it, just like a reading. I give it my all. And that drive and that passion and that desire, it's nice to see that in people like yourself. That's why we're having this conversation. I don't just go on any podcast, any interview, but this is part of the reason why I chose to reach out to you, and I wanted to do this, because when I can connect with someone about that drive and that passion about what they're into, now we can have this conversation. This is great. So really, I want to thank you for having me on, but I really wanted to come on here for that specifically, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly. You're welcome, Andrew. It's great, and I'm appreciating what we're talking about. It's amazing your experiences.
This is serious stuff we're getting into. I had to blend UFO contact with the spirit world, and a lot of people separate that, and that's fine. But my experience would show me I would lose a relative. I'd be outside at night, and I would say, Graham or Grandpa or my buddy at work or whoever, hey, man, if you're around, can you give me a sign? Can you show me something? I need to see something visually. And when I'd say that, boom, a light would appear across the sky and stop and go back the other way. This is happening for years. And I know I'm not the only one, because sharing this with clients, sharing this with people, talking about this on interviews, people hit me up from all over the world and go, yeah, me too, man. There's a connection. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on with my loved ones and these lights in the sky. It's like they're connected. Have you ever noticed anything or heard anything like that along your journey?
I haven't had a connection like that with like a lost relative or anything along those lines, but I have certainly had plenty of experiences where I've looked up in the sky and I've not done C5 or anything like that, so I'm not trained. I haven't really studied it, but I've had instances when I've been outside, and one night I particularly went outside and I said, I want to see something tonight, and I looked in the sky. I looked in one patch of the sky. I didn't do the scanning around like a wild-eyed, sort of person. I looked at one patch, and this silver, all of a sudden, this silver disc or silver orb, I suppose you could call it. It looked round. Basically, it looked round, and I'm standing underneath it. It just appeared like out of nowhere, and spatially, it was like, bigger than Venus, not as big as the moon, and relatively quite high. Now, it wasn't like a satellite that just, ambled across the sky, or the International Space Station, which is like a bus. It just travels slowly across the sky. This thing appeared where I was looking, and then it moved. It moved slightly to the left. It moved slightly to the right, and then it moved back again, and then it just disappeared. Like, wow. All within probably, if you're looking up at the sky, probably a couple of inches across the sky. So that was an experience that I had with sort of like direct intent, walking outside and going, I want to see something, and bang. And then it actually happened. There's been other times I've done that and nothing's happened. So, but that was a real experience that I thought, wow, that's incredible. Something is out there up, whether it's from a dimension, or we could talk about that for another 4 hours about, where all this is coming from and where it's all going to. But to me, it felt like, what intention you put out there is what you get back. So, people talk about good entities, bad entities, and all that sort of thing. I think that's directly related to what we're doing within ourselves.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
So
when
I've seen a lot of stuff. Sorry, mate, go on.
No, I was going to say, when people ask me that, you brought about good or bad entities. Are there good aliens, evil aliens? I said, well, I know this for sure. We have good humans and bad humans. Definitely. So I'm concerned with that. Whether there's good or bad aliens, if they've been around for 50 or 500 more years than us and they're evil, they wouldn't have made it. Okay, they'd be dead. They would have killed each other in a nuclear explosion. So they must have evolved past the stories of torturing or abduction, if that's even true. I don't know. That's not my experience with this. Although I was taught from Greer that if you put out a positive childlike intention, that Zen mind, beginner's mind, you'll get that back. And I can only tell you, definitely, I've never had an abduction. I've never had anything weird. Only the weird stuff has been with humans, with people getting crazy with this stuff. But not ET. They've moved past that because they would not exist if they were like that. So I'm more concerned with just the day-to-day people and who I'm with in my CE5 circle, or who I'm around when I see this, because that can ruin your experience, just like in real life. If you're going out with people and there's somebody that the energy's off, man, you can have a bad night. So it's the same thing. Use common sense. And I'm glad you brought up the one spot in the sky. That's all I do. I do not look around the sky unless I'm with a group of people. I look at one spot. I look right there, and bang, it will appear right there, Ben, right in that spot. And I'm glad you said that. That is so true. You don't need to look around. Actually, don't, because you might be looking over here and then something appears. So just sit. I go out like this, man, and bang, it's right there. You set the camera up right there. Boom, gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the whole thing. If you start scanning the sky from one end to the other, it's just you can't see anything at all. Like, I mean, you have to know the night sky. That's important to know. What a satellite is and the space station, and you got to know what meteors and all that sort of stuff are. You have to know what all that is so that you can see what actually is different out there. What doesn't belong according to our normal mindsets, so or misinterpretation of prosaic explanations. So that's so. And you look at, and I look at the night sky like a lot. I do, or I have. It does come and go, but I've spent a lot of time looking at the sky across my journey in UFO research, and and I always say to people, like, always look up, because you never know what might be looking down. Like it's as simple as that. And most people don't look up anyway. So, you take the time to look up, you take the time to focus your energy, or even just to think about it. Like, I'm just going to think about a presence from another place, or entities or whatever, and then something may or may not manifest. And often a lot of the time it does.
And it's good you said that, because we're so consumed nowadays with looking down at our phones. Look down. Nobody looks up. You're right. Nobody. I mean, maybe if you're camping and no one has their phone, but when you do that too, you're really separating yourselves from everyone else. So they, or whatever is out there, you're increasing the chances that you'll get some sort of response. So trust me, doing that and having that intention and telling people that, absolutely, man, you'll get something back. I will be in my house at night. I will feel something. I'll tell my kids or my wife, they're there. There's something outside. We'll go outside with the camera, and there's an object there already, or it's coming soon. So we have enough time to film it. And I have a 3-year-old, 14, 15-year-old, my wife. Everyone in my house has had contact. Even before I met my wife, and she had 2 older children from her first marriage, they will all contact these experiences. So they were speaking my language already. I didn't have to explain. They get it. So that's just normal talk in my house. I know that some people are with people that don't do this, and they're not into it. I don't know how. I would not be able to do that, man. I'm just too old. I can't do that. This is my, part of my life. It's not my whole life. I have a life, but I when I'm doing my CE5 thing, when I'm focused or I'm having contact, it's serious now. I'd like to get it recorded, although the best contact I've had is not recorded. It's just something that happens. I see it and I'm like, wow. And I don't want to even get the camera to get distracted, because now you're looking through something, or you're spinning around like the Exorcist, looking at the sky for whatever, chasing comets or whatever. And you put that down and you just look, meditate, bang, it's there. You have that beautiful connection, that feeling like that kid on Christmas morning. It's incredible. And what's cool too is I was having this contact. I'm doing readings. I'm in the firehouse, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, all these years. And guys in the firehouse are skeptical to, oh, bro, I've had a sighting. They're telling me something on the side. Don't tell anyone. I want to see this with you. Come to my house. So they come to my house in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, right near Coney Island. We'd go outside at night. We'd sit outside. We had contact. Don't take any pictures. Don't show anyone, bro. I'm not going to tell them. I don't care, but what's up, man. This is amazing. We've had craft in the distance, or big balls of light in the distance. We've meditated, and they've appeared inches from us. I mean, 6 inches from my head. I've had these beautiful, tiny, little illuminated objects like the size of an ant, illuminated 6 inches, a foot from my head, like that, turning to each other and then looking at me, pairs of them. I've had people with me seeing this stuff. Some I've gotten on video, some I haven't. Now, like I said, I didn't want to argue with anyone over, is your stuff real, your videos? I don't even want to go there. The message and what's really going on is what matters. The photos and videos, I don't care. But over time, with an iPhone, I started to film them, started to record them. And then my kids were on that app called TikTok. And they're like, Andrew, put your videos on TikTok. People will love it. I'm like, really? All right, whatever. So I put the videos out there, and then someone messaged me and said, hey, you mind if I send your footage to Roger at MUFON? I said, go ahead. My stuff is public, man. I was in the New York Post in July of 2018. There was an article written about me. I didn't know. They just wrote it.
Yeah.
Literally, they just said, oh, we're running an article. All right, too late. They did it, right? And it was a blessing. In the end. And then after, I got a Psionics camera that my wife just bought me, a Psionics infrared camera, amazing. Started filming, getting good quality videos. Roger Stankovich from MUFON analyzed my footage. I've also had them analyzed by Jason Gleaves from UF Only. And I've had them sent to scientists at multiple universities in the US. Their response was, how the heck did you film that? That's real. That's no joke. I said, I don't know. I feel they're around. I filmed them, but I didn't make a big deal out of it. I was just sharing these with friends. Roger analyzes them and then gets back to me and says, hey, we're doing this show. Would you want to be part of it? I said, yeah, man, just all I ask is you tell the truth. That's all I want. Just tell the truth. Let people share their story. That's it. I know when you do something on TV or video, you got to be so careful. And that's why I've said no to a lot of people, because if it comes out wrong, or they make you look like you're glowing blue or a maniac or whatever, you're done.
It comes out very wrong.
Forever. Exactly. So I've had the chance to do some things, but based on if it's a low budget, or I've had people, oh, I want to do a feature film with you. Oh, we'll crowdsource it. I said, bro, that's not happening. I'm not crowdsourcing my story in graphics on the screen. It's going to look awful. No, man, it's got to be real or nothing, or I just share my story like this. So I want to thank Roger, the people from EQ Media. They did an amazing job with what they did, putting it all together, making it look the way they did with our real footage. Thank God it's our real footage, man. Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
And like I said, I've had this video and this stuff sent to my agents in America, people in Hollywood. My agent, one's out near Hollywood, and they responded to me and they said, this is great, man. They did a phenomenal job. They're not just saying this. My literary agent near Washington, D.C., same thing. They're like, this is great. So they're not just talking this. This is worth waiting. You go through the storm, the roller coaster. I waited. They put that in here. And in the meantime, like I had written a book last year, I got a download, right? I was getting a message over and over. The first thing that came through was something on TV. I was getting like Discovery Channel, A&E, all the, like, I kept seeing images. So I got a chalkboard downstairs 3 years ago, and I wrote out TV show, right? Then I wrote write a book. And then I wrote buying a home, or I wanted to buy a home. This is 3 years ago. And I told my kids, don't touch the dryer, erase the chalkboard. 3 years later, we did this show with A&E, and I wrote a book with a literary agent, the whole nine, and then we will be able to buy a home when all of this finally is unfolding. We're going to be able to get that home. So the power of your mind, the power of manifesting, whatever you want to call it. I know this stuff is real. Sometimes it takes time, but it's worth the wait, and it's worth having the right people around you to help tell your story, man. You've been through something strange, something weird like this. Don't sell yourself short, man. You got to make sure the people you're talking to are going to tell your story are the real thing. Just like finding a psychic or doing contact or whatever. Look into who you're connecting with, because there's people out there that just want to make a buck. They don't care about you. They don't have the resources to help you the way they claim. So I'm very passionate. My wife's a mental health professional. So when I have clients come to me and they have multiple things going on, or they're not dealing well with something, I refer them to any mental health professional is better than none. Hey, make sure you go see someone that's certified, that is trained, that has a college degree in this, okay? Because I can't see you weekly to help you with that. You need to go see somebody that's legit, that can help you with mental health things. Now, a psychic, or not me, but psychics out there, they'll just take your money every week. They don't care. They'll take that money and, oh, yeah, come see me, and I got to meditate on that. I've heard that one. What a load of crap, man. That should not be happening. I don't play that stuff. I'm here to help you, read you, but if you got multiple things or things that are prolonging that we can't address, it's okay to go see a therapist to help you along your journey in life. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
it's okay,
right,
man.
It's part of life, isn't it? You know, it's at different times in life where you know, people need these other services. There's not just a Band-Aid for everything.
The UFO subject and psychic work is amazing, but ufology is not the be all end all. It's not the answer to everything. A lot of people make this their religion, or they get into a UFO cult. Sometimes you might just need to go and see a therapist. Like you can burn all the essential oils and all the incense in the world, but you can't cure bat crap crazy. You know what I mean? Like you might just need to go speak to someone. Nothing. I've done it, man. I've lost guys I worked with, man. Guys I was close with, co-workers that died at fires, man. You're sitting, smoking cigars one night in the firehouse, laughing, having a good time. You go out the door, they don't come back. I've been through this stuff with guys I worked with that died, man. There's nothing wrong with going to take care of yourself, making calls, going to therapy, do whatever you got to do. Don't hurt yourself. Don't do something. Make that call. Stay connected, man. I'm very passionate about people reaching out, and it's okay to speak up, man. You're not right, go call somebody. You if you are okay, go check in, see how someone else is doing. We got to make this. We got to be here for each other. We're a community. We got to really be there for each other, not just say it. You know what I mean? We got to really be there.
Yeah, you got to live that to the true meaning of it. And I think that's partly a lot of humanity's problem too, is the fact that we're all so divided along so many lines. And you say, well, there's no wonder that any other entity would be reluctant to interact with us, but they do interact with us. But yeah, there's a lot of evolution for us as a species still ahead, and it ain't going to happen in the next 100 years.
No, we are so far. People ask me, what do the aliens tell you? What do the UFOs tell you? And I say, the UFOs have made a U-turn. If I was an alien, if I was on a craft out at space and I was looking down and I saw a zoo where the animals had weapons, I would turn around, and they're killing each other. They're looking down at us. They're terrified. So the fact that I'm just still seeing lights here and there or whatever on the ground or at night, I'm happy with that. I don't want anyone to get hurt via contact or have an experience like that, because they are terrified of us. I'm terrified of us. You know what I mean? Like, look at how we treat each other. So to have that happen at some point, I believe in my heart, okay? People love Greer, they hate him, but I believe he's right. I feel that CE5 could be one of the ways to lead us towards some sort of overall peace or world peace. Because if you put everything aside, your belief systems and all that nonsense, how amazing would it be if we could all get together, regardless of where we're from, hold hands or not if you don't want because of COVID, sit, meditate, connect with something greater, and have that warm, fuzzy feeling without taking a drug or a substance, right? Yeah. And we're all there just sitting in that silence. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what I think, man. And knowing Greer for a long time and his work, he is right about that. No one's perfect. Not everyone's going to agree with everything, but I really do feel, and I'm a big advocate of CE5 in a safe manner, learning from the right people, learning from the Godfather or the person that taught it, or someone that's got a lot of experience doing it the right way. Yes, you can have an incredible relationship and experience for a long time. And I've only had safe experiences. Same with my wife and my contact group. We've never had an abduction of doing this over. Nothing like that. Nothing. So not saying that doesn't happen, but the way out of this mess, if people started meditating and had an open heart, open mind, wow, man, they need to teach this stuff in schools.
Yeah, they do. Up, man. They really do. Yeah, that's where it needs to start. At ground zero, really. Young minds they suck information in at a rapid rate of knots, and if they have some sort of instruction in this type of field, then it's gonna really fast track humanity's progress long after we've gone. So,
like my daughter's 3, and even with her, when she gets excited or really pumped up, we tell her, stop, breathe, and talk. Tell us about your feelings. Why are you upset? Why are you feeling like this? I don't remember that happening when I was a kid. I mean, I don't remember. I'm just saying, I don't remember that collectively. My dad was working all the time. No knock on him, but it's just different. So I try to spend a lot of time with my daughter and talking about these things. And she's outside at night with me. I got her on video, and she goes, wow, Daddy, look at the pretty lights in the sky. And there's a craft coming, and she's going, whoa. And she's 1.5 at the time. I'm going, whoa. Oh, I'm like, how amazing is that? Like, I wish I had that happen at 1.5, 2.5 years old. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, children are conduits for all sorts of things that adults just certainly can't connect with. I mean, but it is partly about being open to it and opening up the pathways and channels to have this access. We've got about 5 minutes left. before the episode's over. Is there anything else that you wanted to sort of touch on at all about what you're doing in the future, or?
So, yeah, I mean, if anyone needs to connect with me, all my links, I'm sure, will be up at
Yeah.
psychicfirefighter.com. Reach out to me or DM me, message me. I'm on all the social media apps. If I can help you, if someone needs a reading or they think you have psychic abilities or you want to develop them, reach out to me and I can help guide you along that journey. I've trained people that are professional psychic mediums, meaning doing it as a full-time business, that have the gift. You know, you have the gift if somebody that has a lot of experience with doing this for a long time, if they have what you want and they're telling you you have it, that's a good indication you're on the right track. Keep going and keep asking and keep connecting. And like I said, if it's not me, if it's whoever it is, look around, see who's comfortable, see what resonates, stay connected, stay close. We are heading towards a crazy time with all the COVID stuff that happened, and that is coming. There's going to be more because there's always stuff. Being a New York City firefighter, the time I had, I always learned that you never know what's going to happen. Every day is different. We dealt with SARS, COVID, all these weird diseases, and I've seen it all working in New York City, man. I've just seen a lot of things from that to working as a mortician. You always got to be ready every day. You never know what life's going to bring. It's so important to take care of yourself, but stay connected, man. Reach out, form your little network, find your little niche of people that are out there. You know, stay tight, stay connected with them, and you will find a little crew. It'll probably get smaller over time as you go on this journey because you weed people out, right? It's unbelievable. And I want to share too. A little birdie told me, and this is great news. Season 2 of Close Encounters Down Under is in the talks right now, so that's amazing. So I want to thank everyone out there that watched the first season. The show hasn't even aired yet in America. Once that happens, this will be great. But I heard already they want to do season 2 based on the feedback they've gotten from the UK and the feedback. This was before it aired in Australia. I heard this just based on what they had already.
I think the world is hungry for this sort of information. And back in the late 80s and the early 90s, there was a real buzz around this on through the media and television at that time. And then it went flat for a very long period. Now I think we're coming full circle again. I think that the public out there is really much more open-minded now than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And people are actually thirsting for this type of information and these type of shows.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like we're at that age, you know, things go in cycles, but literally we're at that point, like you said, like this is taking off and now people want it. Before COVID or maybe a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, no, I couldn't have had this conversation. This wouldn't have happened. But yeah, we are right now that people at all levels, I do readings from people that are stay-at-home housewives to actors and actresses to filmmakers, whatever, to, you know, police officers, detectives, homicide detectives, everyone. And they'll come for a reading about wanting to connect to their family, but they all want to know, what about the aliens? What about the UFOs, man? Everyone's so interested in this. That's awesome. I know you might be in the same boat too, but I've been waiting for this moment. I've just been patiently waiting. When it was time, when we were ready, I'm still the same thing, just always talking like I have. But now we have platforms too to have this conversation. We can get in touch with people easily like that. You can DM someone. Couldn't do that 15 years ago. I mean, this is great. You want to reach out to whoever, bang, send them a DM. They might reply.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the connectability now is just so incredible, and it makes the world so much smaller for us all because we can actually connect and talk anywhere across the planet. It's amazing.
That's how I've met people in my life. The people that are around me, honestly, that have helped me the most, I have impulsively or inside said, let me just send them a DM or an email. And they responded right away. And it was a random thing. And I'm like, they're not going to talk to me. I don't have any mutual friends. I heard an interview, sent them a DM. They wrote right back. We're like, wow, thank you for being genuine. Next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. We're friends now for 5 years. Like, take that chance. Write to somebody if you're genuine, if you're being honest. There's a good chance you'll get a response, man. And that's why we're here at this age, is to spread this message, man. And I want to share too, however you relay this, please give away a free reading to whoever you want, however you want to do it, man. I want to offer a free reading. Anyone that's listening, however you do it, you pick however, give it away, and they could just message me and we'll sort it out, man.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a lovely gesture, Andrew. We really appreciate that. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us on Unexplained Phenomena Australia. It's fabulous. You're a very interesting guy, and I've thoroughly enjoyed connecting with you, because this is actually the first time you and I have ever spoken to each other.
Yeah.
We didn't even really have a pre-show chatter. I think we just launched bang straight into it. So but I've seen your face on the I've watched the show a few times, and I've definitely seen you. So you're very familiar to me, even though this is actually the first time we've connected. So so yeah, thank you very much for taking time out of your evening to share it. And I hope that listeners to the program have taken something away. And we certainly wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. So
awesome.
Yeah. So thanks very much. And we'll probably no doubt talk again.
Thank you very much for having me, Ben. My best to all you and your listeners. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much, Andrew. And everybody, we'll see you again
Take care
next week. Cheers.